Welcome to Revolution Radio Canada. Let's discuss some of the details of our project.
Revolution Radio is an online radio that combines music with social activism. It encourages its listeners not only to enjoy good music but also to engage with the message of the songs. Punk rock, heavy metal, hardcore, rap, grunge, and alternative rock songs help Revolution Radio to promote the work of charities, institutions, and non-governmental organizations. Through its website, Revolution Radio helps listeners who want to combat racism, sexism, homophobia, and so many other issues, to get in touch with organizations that seek social justice, minority rights, environmental protections, and other causes. Since 2017, Revolution Radio has been promoting Brazilian charities and institutions to listeners in Brazil. In 2020, Revolution Radio wants to enter the Canadian market and promote Canadian charities and institutions to listeners in Canada. This project will help people in Canada to connect with local charities and institutions, spreading solidarity and helping to shape a more egalitarian society. The purpose of this project is to develop the Canadian branch of Revolution Radio. The main goals and objectives are to create a website developed for the Canadian audience and an online radio as well. We will examine Canadian laws and regulations with regards to licensing an online radio and complete all legal requirements prior to any expenditures. Also, we will find local charities, institutions, or NGOs that Revolution Radio can approach in Canada. And we will develop a marketing campaign to launch the website and the radio in Canada. This project will be considered successful if a website for Revolution Radio Canada has been created, programmed, and populated with local musical news and stories. An online radio has been developed and launched to the Canadian audience, and a marketing campaign has been created to attract followers to Revolution Radio Canada's website and gain listeners to the online radio.
Hey guys, so I'm Nathalia. As mentioned previously, we are doing a web design, which means that we need mostly people to work. And this dedicated staff will be the majority of our resources. It's just what we need from people to work. So by this, we need a legal advisor to manage all the licenses that the company needs to have. We also need a web designer to rebuild the brand and the website as the Canadian style and as like the new website that's gonna come from to Canada. We also need a marketer that's gonna resell the brand to the Canadian customers. And by the end, we need a content creator to manage the music and to manage the process in total, combining the marketer and the web designer. So guys, for requirements, we need to first identify all the legal requirements to build the project. And then we need to obtain all the licenses for Canada, British Columbia, and North Vancouver. Once they are quite different, we need different documents for each area. So we need to get that. And then we need to establish partnerships, at least 5, with charities, institutes, and NGOs to share their information in our website. And also we need to develop the website and the music platform.
Now let's talk about the project constraints. As per our client instructions, we don't have any project schedule, scope, or cost constraints, but we do have other 3 main constraints, and we will be discussing these constraints here. So the first main constraint is that the Canadian national and provincial laws are interconnected, and it is really important to understand and learn these laws before starting the actual execution of project. The second constraint is that it is impossible to adopt to all the socio-political concepts of Brazil to Canada. Therefore, wherever necessary, we will try to modify these concepts according to Canadian environment. The third constraint is that the client does not have much international working experience, and in fact it is client's first time working in Canadian environment. Now let's move to the assumptions. Project team will be able to carry out this project successfully under stated schedule and budget only under the following assumptions. And the first assumption is that the Brazilian client will be able to provide all the necessary information required to carry out the project wherever necessary and under the stipulated timeline. The second assumption is that the necessary softwares and high-speed internet and all the equipments and human resources will be available on time. The third assumption is that the project team also assumes that the at least 5 non-profit organizations or charities will tie up with the Revolution Radio Canada.
For the course of the project, we have identified many risks of varying severity. These risks must be dealt with in an appropriate manner and contingencies must be created. 3 of the biggest risks are: 1. The name Revolution Radio may be misunderstood by Canadian audiences, as depending on the context, the word revolution can be associated with confrontational or even violent situations. Hence, we must find a way to market the name in a friendly and peaceful manner. 2. Revolution Radio may not get the government's approval for broadcast. If this happens, the team will have to understand the circumstances which led to the denial of a license so that it may reapply for a new one. 3. There may be other radios like Revolution Radio in Canada, which may make it difficult to obtain a market share. To solve this, the team will have to come up with a competitive marketing strategy. The complete breakdown of all the risks and their impacts can be found in Appendix C of the project charter. To ensure that the team completes the project appropriately, we have defined the following deliverables as a measure of its success. 1. Obtaining all the legal documentation necessary to the approval of the online radio broadcasting license. 2. A 24/7 online broadcasting both local and international songs over the internet. And 3. A website in English developed for the Canadian market.
Six milestones have been established for the project. Number 1. When the license to operate an online radio in Canada is obtained. Number 2. When local charities, institutions, and NGOs are identified. Number 3. When an office space is rented and equipped in Vancouver, BC. Number 4. When the website and online radio are programmed. Number 5. When the website and online radio are launched to the Canadian audience. And number 6. When the marketing campaign to promote Revolution Radio Canada is launched.
Just to explain you a little bit about our schedule, we expect to accomplish all the work in 5 months, which means we're gonna start by hiring the legal department, actually the legal assistant, to get all the license done, and then we're gonna identify all the charities, institutions, and NGOs that could be our partners and start making contracts, calls, signing partnerships with them so we can develop a good job. And then we're gonna rent and equip our office space to have a place to develop the brand the website and the company. That's why after that, after renting the office, we can program all the website and the music platform, and then we're gonna rebrand the company.
The next portion is the summary budget. So we have used the bottom-up cost estimation process for the for calculation of the project budget, project cost, and as you can see that the major portion of the project cost is coming from the marketing. So it is around 33% of the total project cost, which is roughly around 21,000 Canadian dollars. And the next larger proportion is spent on obtaining all the advising, legal advising and licenses. So the major part of this section is going towards the legal advisors fee, which is around 17,187 Canadian dollars, and the rest is the fees paid to obtain the SOCAN license. So SOCAN license is the important license to carry out the online radio business in Canada. The next proportion of our cost is going towards setting up the office in Canada, so and other office equipment purchase, which is summing up to 16,205 Canadian. And as we look at the next other proportion, which is spent on the IT department work, and it includes the creation of website and purchasing of the Canadian domain for operating the online radio, and which is coming up to 8,876 Canadian dollar. Therefore, our estimated cost of project is totaling to 63,322 Canadian dollar. We have also included the detailed estimation in the Appendix B.
The team has also compiled a list of stakeholders that are affected by the outcome of this project. They are the project team, including project manager, core team members, and subject matter experts hired. Revolution Radio CEO and management team. Sponsors, advertisers, and business partners. Canadian charities, institutions, and NGOs. People impacted by Canadian charities, institutions, and NGOs. Potential listeners of Revolution Radio Canada. People impacted by Revolution Radio Canada's communications, and SOCAN, the online radio license provider in Canada.
So for communications, it's gonna be mostly inside the company, from project management manager to other project different areas. It's gonna be mostly by email and personal meetings. And from the project management team to different stakeholders, outsiders, it's gonna be by personal meetings and calls, majority. Besides that, we are also building some reports to develop and to understand all the process of the project. So I personally will be responsible for a legal status report, and also the office status report, and the licensing communication, which is really important for our projects.
The project team has established several quality items regarding website design, website performance, online radio listeners, social media engagement, and others. In order to consider the project successful, the quality of these items must be met. For example, for website performance, we expect at least 5,000 unique visitors per day, And for online radio listeners, we expect at least 2,500 listeners per day. We can use Google Analytics to measure that. For example, for social media engagements, we expect at least 10,000 new followers per month on social media. And we can use metric tools on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to measure that.
Thank you for watching. For further details on everything discussed in this video and more, please consult the project charter.